Hey guys, today I'll be talking about my favorite Elder Dragon from Monster Hunter. Now, there are a lot of different Elder Dragons that I love personally, just basically based off either design, abilities, or just boss fights. But to me, my number one favorite will always be Nergigante. Let me tell you why. Nergigante, design-wise, is a very good-looking monster. It's kind of like what would happen if you mix a traditional dragon and you mixed it with a porcupine, African porcupine to be specific. But I like the way they kind of gave it the ability that it didn't give it any kind of elemental kinds of abilities. It just gave it the ability of just regrowing its spikes when it's damaged. And then makes it sharper the more times it gets hit. Me personally, I like that as an aesthetic because to me, it kind of shows that this monster is fighting just basically off of physicality alone, not just using elements because it doesn't have any elements, but it's just using just physicality in its own spikes against other elder dragons. Also, another thing I liked about this dragon is that I like the form that it has, like a quadrupedal type of stance, but it moves very similar to like a cat mixed with a bear because because the way it kind of walks, but when it runs it's like a cat, but when it's walking it's very similar to a bear, kind of hunched over, taking each step slowly, its body kind of moving with each step, and the spikes move with each step as well, kind of showing that it isn't just like hard spikes, it moves along with the Elder Dragon as well. I also like the boss fights with Nergigante. That and the other variant with I can't remember the name of that variant, but the one where spikes turn to iron. I personally like that version of Nergigante. Well, not just that, I like all versions, but I like Nergigante strictly because of how battle hardened it is. Like it feels like a warrior type of Elder Dragon compared to the rest of them. Because all the other Elder Dragons have crazy elemental abilities that can just destabilize ecosystems. And this thing doesn't have any elements. It's just it's just eating and fighting the Elder Dragon just based off of hands and spikes. It's like a Elder Dragon version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I find that to be pretty cool. Another thing I liked about it was its turf wars with other monsters. Like when Nergigante fights someone like Devil Joe. It's very similar to how Rajang fights Devil Joe, where Devil Joe seems like he has the upper hand. He grabs him by the neck, swings him in the air like he usually does. It has him in the air, feet dangling. But then Gigante, with its claws, is able to pry its mouth open and basically slap Devil Joe into the ground. And then it kind of ends with Nergigante kind of winning. And I like that fight pretty well because it kind of shows Nergigante's how it fights against other monsters and not just Elder Dragons. And it kind of you can honestly tell it has a little bit of battle IQ with how it just knew how to open its mouth and just palm strike it into the ground. Another one I like personally, I also like the fight with him and Teostra. That fight was pretty cool. The only thing weird about Teostra is that it didn't use its fire a lot, but I like the clashes it has in air, showing that Nergigante is not just a ground fighter, it's also an air fighter as well. So it's just using its wings to propel itself into the air and just be able to fight in the air rather than just on the ground all the time, which is something I find pretty cool about it. And I like the fact that it felt like it was pretty even for a good moment because they were clashing, clawing at each other, until Nergigante just straight up power drives into the ground, and then Teostra kind of loses. So those are the main turf wars I liked. Another thing, now the variant is the coolest one to me because I liked how when we first see it, this thing just straight up bullies a Basil Geese and bullies it. Like, remember we were on the aircraft and the Basil Geese is attacking the ship, and Nergigante with the iron spike variant comes out of nowhere, seemingly out of thin air, like a magician, and just straight up tackles the Basil Geese like it's a linebacker for the Wolves, and just straight up power drives it into the ground as they both fall on the ground. And I thought that was pretty cool because it showed just how awesome this new variant is, even though we knew so much little about it in that very encounter. And then later when we meet it again and we fight it with whatever weapons y'all like to use. I like the katana personally. Comment down below which ones y'all like to use. But when you fight it, it's like a more buffed version of the original Nergigante, where spikes do more damage, and it does that effect, that bleed. I think it's the bleed effect, where your health bar slowly starts depleting because of the spikes. And then they still kept the same mechanic where the more you strike at a certain spot with the spikes, the more it kind of, the harder the spikes got. And the fact that we don't know how this thing evolved to get iron spikes. I personally don't know. I don't know the evolutionary line for that. Because that thing just seamlessly has iron spikes. Like from One Piece with iron body. With the CP9. And it just straight up makes it harder the more you hit at it. Which I find pretty nice. And it's able to do the same things the original one does. Like bash his head against the floor. Throw the spikes at you. Uses his wing as well that does the same thing. And I like the fact that the move it does, where it flies into the air and it kind of does like a giant ground pound, where it sends spikes everywhere once it crashes the ground on impact. I find that to be a pretty cool move. And the funny thing is that after that point, the thing is just bald. It's just bald now. It's just bald. Because it still has spikes on it, but it's just like really small and really dull. So all the bleed effects probably won't hit the same, but it's still brutally strong. And then you can just call people to fight with you as well. So then after the fight, you think you killed it. You're just like, oh snap, we killed it. Let's go. Then you see another monster, which I think it's called Shara Isabala. Comment down below if I said that wrong. Don't hate me for that. But yeah, when we started fighting that thing, which was basically like a sound ninja from Naruto, just started screaming at us, literally. And after the fight, after you think that you bring it down, the thing comes back up, and you're just like, oh, here we go again. We have to start fighting. So, you know, the cutscene shows you're all ready to fight it again. Then suddenly, Nergigante, that we thought we just killed, came back from the dead, essentially, and just straight up takes this thing by the neck, and just straight up chomps his neck out. And then it just shows just how cool this thing actually is, because this thing is actually smart enough to play dead. Because it played dead until we were done fighting that one monster. And then it showed that it was weak enough. It just straight up pounced on this thing's neck like a lion in an impala. Just jumps on this thing's neck and eats at his jugular. This thing was cooked from the start. And then after that point, we thought we had to fight him again. No, thing just runs away. Just runs away. But overall, I strictly like the monster for its design choice, and as well as the cutscenes that has within the game. I like both variants, but I love their turf wars. I feel like Monster Hunter really did really good with that. But overall, the monster is just a great monster. I hope they use it. I hope they use him in Wilds, because I know they put in Gore Magala, but I hope they put him in Wilds as well, because I think it would be pretty cool to see Nergigante pop up again. So, you know, thank y'all for coming to watch the video. Comment down below what your favorite Elder Dragon is, and see y'all next time.